During the 1930s, life demanded ingenuity. Grandparents and their contemporaries lived in a world where banks weren't always accessible, crime was opportunistic, and, well, homes were vulnerable. Folks didn't rely on high-tech safes or digital security. Instead, they counted on clever, discreet hiding spots that blended seamlessly into everyday life. Understanding these secret methods offers both a window into history and, honestly, some practical inspiration for modern survivalists looking to protect valuables without drawing attention. People hid valuables in plain sight, where intruders would never think to look. One of the most effective strategies of the 1930s was hiding items in ordinary household objects. Walls were used creatively, not just as structural elements. Hollowed-out books, behind wall panels, or inside false bricks were common. A small wooden box could be embedded in a wall cavity and then plastered over. The key was camouflage. The item looked like part of the house itself. In modern applications, a survivalist could replicate this by installing inconspicuous compartments in walls or furniture, ensuring valuables are out of reach of casual intruders while remaining accessible to those who know where to look. Floorboards weren't just for walking on, they were secret storage zones. Some families lifted sections of wooden flooring to create shallow compartments, often used for coins, jewelry, or important papers. Basements frequently held these subfloor caches, with covers disguised as ordinary floor panels or rugs. In today's survivalist context, learning to use floor cavities can serve dual purposes: storage of emergency funds and critical survival gear, all while remaining invisible to anyone unaware of the layout. The principle is simple: keep your items underfoot but inconspicuous. Everyday furniture often concealed unexpected storage. Chairs with hollow legs, tables with removable panels, and bed frames with hidden drawers were common. The ingenuity lay in making these compartments indistinguishable from normal wear and tear. Families would even drill small cavities into the backs of cabinets or dressers for documents or heirlooms. Today, this knowledge can guide a survivalist in designing furniture that stores critical items like emergency radios, water purification tablets, or cash while blending into an ordinary living space. Back in the 1930s, kitchens were more than just places to cook. They acted as vaults, too. Folks would use false bottoms in cupboards or hide things behind those big old stoves to stash cash or valuables. Sometimes people even used metal containers that looked just like regular food cans, so when you lined them up on the shelf, nobody would give them a second glance, even if they were searching pretty hard. Now, if you think about it, the modern version of this would be keeping sensitive items in containers disguised as everyday kitchen goods, especially if you're in a survival situation where you need things to be both handy and, well, hidden. The attic, well, it sure wasn't just meant for storing old furniture. Those high-up, tough-to-reach spaces let families tuck away things where no one would casually stumble across them. Little boxes would get wedged between rafters or hidden behind insulation, places that burglars almost never bothered to check. If you're a modern survivalist, you can kind of borrow this idea by storing emergency supplies or sensitive stuff in those attic nooks, making sure your essentials are safe but only reachable by folks who know exactly where to look. Not every hiding spot was indoors, you know. Gardens, spaces under porch floors, or spots buried beneath landscaping offered some pretty clever natural camouflage. Some families used hollowed-out logs, old tree stumps, or even special stones designed to hide valuables. These tricks worked real well for things that needed to survive fires or theft inside the house. Nowadays, you could do something similar in your backyard. Set up a survival cache with seeds, water purification tools, or maybe even backup cache, all tucked away so well that nobody would ever find it unless they already knew where to look. You know, back then, clothing wasn't just worn, it was actually used as storage. Folks would sew pockets right into the hems of their coats, and quilts often had little compartments tucked away for jewelry or important documents. Some families even went so far as to hide things within the lining of mattresses or bed covers, taking advantage of those places intruders hardly ever looked. These days, a modern twist might be to use everyday clothing or bedding for emergency items like survival tools or maybe digital storage devices so they stay mobile and, well, pretty much invisible. Everyday items, they serve more than one purpose. Hollow books, ceramic jars, and even candle holders often had hidden caches inside. The trick was to make sure these things blended in naturally with their surroundings. Honestly, for folks today who are into survival, this idea still works great. Like, a hollowed-out book on the shelf could hold an emergency map or a small first aid kit, while a decoy container might keep cash or important electronics safe. Kind of keeps history alive while staying practical for survival. The techniques folks used in the 1930s, well, they're not just old curiosities, they're real blueprints. By studying those methods, you can come up with storage solutions that are both super secure and hard to spot. Things like subfloor compartments, hollow furniture, disguised containers, and hidden attic storage, they all give modern survivalists some solid options for protecting gear, money, and documents. If you mix these ideas with modern stuff like waterproof containers or fire-resistant boxes, you get even more durability. In the end, understanding the reasoning behind these secret spots is honestly more valuable than knowing exactly what was hidden there. What makes these strategies enduring is their simplicity and ingenuity. They relied on concealment, clever misdirection, and everyday familiarity, principles that work in any era. For survivalists, the practical takeaway is to think like someone who needs to protect what is critical without drawing attention. Every hiding spot should feel natural, accessible only to those who know its secret, and completely invisible to anyone who doesn't. These same principles apply whether you are storing emergency cash, vital documents, or survival gear. By applying these strategies thoughtfully, you're not just protecting valuables. You're preserving a piece of history while enhancing your survival preparedness. Each location offers a lesson in resourcefulness, teaching us that true security comes from foresight and ingenuity, not just expensive safes or alarms. Remember, knowledge of these techniques is powerful only if used effectively. Study the spaces around you, adapt the 1930s principles, and ensure that your hiding spots are as discreet as they are clever. Whether you are a collector, a survivalist, or a historian, understanding these secret spots provides practical, timeless strategies for safeguarding valuables. If you found this guide insightful and want more historical survival strategies, make sure to subscribe to Battlefield of Survival, share it with fellow enthusiasts, and stay tuned for more in-depth explorations into how our ancestors lived, adapted, and protected what mattered most.